My guy Jay Money, glad to do a show with you as always, Jay. Can't wait to hear your opinions about today's games. Our guy Jordan Sharp is not here, aka John Wick. He might be out catching a few bodies, who knows? But we're gonna hold it down for our guy, Mr. Wick, this afternoon. How was your weekend, Jay? What would you get into?
Everything was cool, man. Hey, just chilling out with the family, chilling out with the dogs, man. Just chilled out, man. Vibing, trying to learn some stuff in the NBA, man. Trying to figure out these teams.
Trying to figure out these teams is damn right. We do have a much bigger sample size. We've hit the 20-game mark for most of these teams, which is a good chunk of information to start making some decisions. Injury bugs hit a couple teams, but unless you want to get into a recap of this weekend, I was a little bit busy, so I don't really have too much to say. I'm ready to get into today's slate. What about you?
Yeah, let's get to today's slate, man. It's what the people are here for.
Let's get into it. First game up, we've got Denver and Miami. I'll let my guy Jay go. I do not have an official play on this game. Jay, what are your thoughts on this one? Denver's really struggling. Miami's looking like one of the better teams in the league. Seems like almost a little bit of a square bet, but the way that Denver looks right now, they're just trying to hang on for dear life until some of the guys get back so they can fight for a playoff position. What are you looking at?
Yeah, obviously this is the rematch from Jokic hitting the Morris brother or whatever, knocking him down. So this is the spot that I had circled for the Heat. The Heat, the only way I'd look here, obviously it's the first game coming back off a road trip. Not necessarily a spot that I'd like to be on, but I do know that they'll turn up for this game. They are a home team, 6-1 straight up and against the spread at the house. So I'm only looking towards the Heat here, whether Jokic plays or not. I didn't bet the game, but I didn't think they would be in this price range. This is basically like right in the middle. If he's ruled out, it'll go up to 9.5, 10. If he's in, it'll go down to probably maybe 4.5. So I'd actually like to see Jokic in. I want to see him in this game. And if we know Jokic, why not come back for this game, right? Like the Nuggets are going to win this one too. They got beef with the Heat as well. So I'd like to see Jokic get ruled in, and I think that'll throw everything out. Even though the Nuggets need him, I think that the Heat will get this one done regardless. So heavy lean to Heat for me. Obviously, you just wait on Jokic to bet this game, whether you're betting either side.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to talk about this, but I have to mention it. The fight from the first game kind of led to some back and forth. You got Udonis Haslem telling the Jokic's brothers that they better chill in Miami because everybody knows that Udonis Haslem is a Miami boy. That's his hometown. You probably don't want no smoke with him there. But at the same time, I feel like, again, it's just more of this NBA/WWE shit where, like, guys are just pretending to be. So Udonis, if them guys step to you, then you have some of your homies from Miami step to them. Then what? You're really gonna get that? That's the kind of thing you want on your name right now. Like if he was really about it, you just wouldn't say nothing. That's why I say it's WWE. If he was really about it, he just wouldn't say a word. He would just let what happens and be like, I don't know what happened. You dry snitching on yourself, bro. Stop the nonsense, please. Anyways, I got nothing on this game. I'm afraid of this number. I do understand why Jay Money has it because it's Heat or nothing for me. What if you're laying or if you're taking points with the Nuggets? You're doing that based on what exactly? They have way too many injuries, and the guys that they have left are not used to being the guy. They don't have a guy right now. They just have a collection of players that realistically are only not getting blown out every single game. Because they do have a system and they do have that, this continuity where they know what they're supposed to do. They just don't have the talent to compete right now. So it's got to be Heat or nothing. With that said, on to the next game. Now, the next game, we got the Hornets taking on the Bulls. I've got the Bulls in the first quarter. The Bulls have been one of the best first quarter teams in the league. Now, they're on a really poor run right now where they're 1-4. In their last 1-3 in their last 4 games, and during that run they've been really poor in the first quarter. So if you include those games, just again we're still talking about a small sample size of like 20 games. Even with that poor first quarter run, there's still like the 8th or 9th best team in the first quarter in terms of net rating, and the Hornets are one of the worst. The Hornets are like 28th in the league in first quarter net rating. And just to keep the stats consistent, because I don't, you can't compare apples and oranges. I looked at the Hornets first quarter net rating during this Bulls 1-3 run, and the Hornets are still 28th in net rating even in the last 2 weeks. So they're just, our last 10 days, they're just not good to start off games. They usually actually kind of find their feet and figure things out in the second half. So I'm running with the Bulls -2 first quarter because the numbers say so. And I think that the fact that they've been poor in the first quarter in the last 4 games and gone to 1-3 go hand in hand. They usually win games because they start out strong and their defense holds them down. So I think they flip that around, and the number is right where I like it, where it's still under 1 possession at -2. That's my play for today. What you got, Jay?
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off. I like the Bulls early in this one as well. Like I said, sometimes you just have to watch these teams and not bet them just so you can kind of figure them out. And I'm starting to figure out the Hornets, and I'm starting to figure out the type of teams that will have success against them. And they don't have their starting center right now in Plumlee, so they're kind of thin out there. They're having to do that Bridges and PJ Washington at the 5, and that's not going to work in my opinion, even though the Bulls aren't the biggest team. But the Hornets are a guard-heavy team. That's exactly what the Bulls are as well. I think they have the 3-headed guard to go up against the Hayward, Rozier, and LaMelo Ball. That's what you need to beat the Hornets, and the Bulls have that in Lonzo Ball. Oh, the brothers going up against each other once again, but Lonzo Ball, I'm losing train of thought. Levine and DeRozan. I like the matchups from those guys against the Hornets. The Bulls are more balanced offensively and defensively than the Hornets are. Hornets is all offense. I'm not scared of the defense whatsoever, especially without Plumlee out there. I like the Bulls in this one early as well. I think that the Charlotte will go on a slide here on this road trip, and I think the Bulls come out hot as well off that Heat loss. Second game back at the house or whatever. This is the spot they'll turn up. I'd be taking the Bulls first quarter and first half. Lean full game as well, Junior.
Listen, when J Money and myself are aligned, it makes me feel a lot stronger about my play. So happy to hear that you're aligned with that. And like I said, sometimes you don't want to always just go stats, but I watch games too, though, and I see that the Charlotte Hornets are a team that kind of sort of take time to get going, take time to figure things out. And a lot of that has to do with something that Jay just said. It's their defense. They don't always come with that defensive intensity that they need to start off games. Look at it this way. During that run that they had recently where they were winning a bunch of games, because they have a really good record. Like they at one point were like 500, right, Jay? Like at a certain point in the season. And then they completely turned it around and won 7 of 8 or something like that. During that run, they've been one of the top 5 defensive teams in the league. They're not a top 5 defensive team overall, but the point is that, and it's a point that we constantly try to make on this show, if you're not if your foundation is not based on defense, you're not really that reliable. You're not that reliable. The Nets figured that out. It kind of seems like, right? Last year, if they had better defense, they probably could have won that series against Milwaukee, even with the injuries that they had. But they just couldn't bring it defensively. So, not to get long-winded. I'm not just on the Bulls because of the number. I'm on the Bulls also because they bring that defensive intensity for the entire game, unlike Charlotte, who usually takes time to get warmed up. So, with that said, Jay, I know both Jay and myself have action on this next game where the Pacers travel over to Minnesota to take on the T-Wolves, the much improved T-Wolves, the 4-1 at home T-Wolves in their last 5 home games. Which is kind of where I'm going with my pick. I got the T-Wolves -1.5 in the first half. Now, I'm going to just say right off rip, I don't ever really feel comfortable laying points with a team like Minnesota. So don't think I just saw this pick and I was like, oh yeah, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to just take Minnesota here because they're at home and they've been winning home games. It's a lot more complicated than that. They've been winning home games very impressively. Their defense is a lot better in the first half. Just everything about them is better in the first half. They're kind of the opposite of what I was saying about Charlotte. They actually come out at home really intense. Now, I don't love the spot that they're coming home from a quick road trip, a road trip, but it was a short one where they played back-to-back games against Charlotte and Philly. Then it's really quick home game against Indiana, and then they're right back on the road to take on Washington and Brooklyn. Kind of a weird little spot. which is why I wouldn't take them full game. I actually would kind of lean Pacers full game. I'm just not a huge fan of the Pacers, if I'm just going to be honest, and I don't usually tend to lay or take points with them. I kind of try to stay away from them. So in this specific spot, I'm just taking the Timberwolves based on what they've been doing at home, especially in the first half of games. Like, they're not just winning the first half of games; they've beaten a couple of teams down pretty good in this little recent stretch that they had. So before I ramble on, let me get my guy Jay Money to give us a little insight as to his pick.
Yeah, I like the Pacers here. I'll be honest with you. I think that this is a game where the Pacers don't come out hot, they won't win the game. So it's either going to be a trifecta spot for the Timberwolves or it's going to be a trifecta spot for the Pacers. I'm on the side of the Pacers here. I agree that obviously it's tough to bet. Some teams just have our kryptonite, right? And we'll be hesitant to bet those teams. But I mean, it's tough because even with myself, I have to get that out of my own head. If there's a spot to bet them, then I have to bet them. But it's tough, especially when the team just burns you every single time. It seems like the Wizards this year, the Nets this year. I bet against them. I bet on them. They just screw me every time. I hadn't bet the Pacers or bet against them a lot this year, so I don't feel bad about this one. I'm riding with the Pacers. They're 7-1 against the spread on their last 8 games playing on the back-to-back. They've done it this year as well. They had a back-to-back in Utah and won that game as 10.5-point underdogs. They won it by 11 points. So if they bring that type of effort out here, which I think they will, I think they can win this game. I like the Timberwolves. I love this team, actually. And it's not bad that they're laying points here, but I don't think they should. It's a tough spot, if you ask me, coming off a Super Bowl type of win, beating the 76ers. They put everything they had into that win. You can see it. They even had a look ahead in Charlotte. That was a big game for them versus 76ers. They got the job done in overtime. Now they come back to the house and have a letdown. I'd be looking at, I actually like Pacers trifecta here. First quarter, first half, and full game. It's a Pacers type of day. I wish Jordan was here. I actually love the Pacers here in this game, to be honest with you. And one more key info to me that, like, I like it even with everybody in for the Timberwolves. Then McDaniels and Vanderbilt questionable to play tonight. The team says both have flu-like symptoms. I'll probably be all over the Pacers today.
Yeah, listen, I don't like going head-to-head with Jay, but if we never disagreed, it wouldn't be real. So my pick, just like I said about the last game, is really based on the fact that Minnesota, during this little 5-game stretch where they've won 4 out of 5 at home, they put the clamps on teams. And if they're going to defend with the offensive talent that they have, that changes the entire ceiling of this team. So, and I also just like the matchup of Anthony Edwards against any wing player that the Pacers have. But that's just me. Let's move on to the next game. We got the Blazers, another team, speaking of teams that you don't really catch me investing money on, against the Utah Jazz. This is a tough one for me because it just seems like an obvious pick to take the Jazz. I mean, first of all, the Jazz margin of victory on the season is 9 a game. That's really real. Like, you got to really – that's not something to just, like, be like, oh, they're winning by 9 points a game. That means that they're blowing out every team that they play, basically. I know, obviously, they've had some really lopsided wins that kind of make that stat a little more inflated than it is. The Blazers are also no joke, offensively anyways. They're finally starting to find a rhythm. They've changed systems, but it's a system that seems to be working, getting a lot, other people involved other than their 2 stars. I'm not involved in this game because I don't like the number, to be honest with you. I don't really have a feel for... I think the Blazers have enough offense to stay within 2 possessions of the Jazz. That's what I think. I know that Utah is better than them technically on both ends of the court, obviously significantly better than them on defense. But if the Blazers come to play, you can't tell me that they can't keep this game within 7.5 points. Like, will they? Probably not. But to say that it's too many points for me. Anything over 6, I'm on Portland. So that means I'm off the game because I don't like taking points with Portland or laying points with them. Jay, what you got?
Yeah, no, I'm with you here. Sometimes it's like this line is probably telling you, hey, it's high for a reason. Like a lot of times, like we don't understand it, but then it'll be a blowout or something. Or a lot of I can't. I'll be honest with you. A lot of times I'll see something I don't understand and take the points, and it'll be that easy as well. Sometimes you like the books are kind of giving extra value to a certain side, so you just kind of have to figure the teams out. Obviously, the Jazz, man, they lost. They had just lost to the Pelicans as 13-point favorites, so they can lose games even at the house this year. They're a little bit different than they were last year. The bench, another thing that may plague the Jazz when it gets to the playoffs. Their bench isn't as strong. Royce O'Neal's questionable here. Thing I don't like about the Blazers here, so I mean, I could start with they're 1-9 against the spread and straight up on the road. They're 1-11 against the spread last 12 road games. So I'm not looking to back the Blazers. Agree with you though. They have enough offense to stay in this game. The thing is, do they have enough defense? In my opinion, and they won't have Norman Powell. They're without their best perimeter defender. He would be on Donovan Mitchell all night. So that's a huge miss for me. Lillard or McCollum will get cooked by Mitchell pretty much every play. They have lost both of these games so far on the road trip. So I'm sure they'll want to come out with at least one representative effort. They lost to the Kings, they lost to the Warriors. So they at least want to come out with one win or at least a cover. I could see it being a close game, but at the Blazers, if they had full squad with Norman Powell, I'd probably be taking the 7.5 here, but they don't. I'm staying off this game. The Blazers are going to have to show me. I'm going to watch this game and see how the Blazers look on the road. They can't continue to look this terrible on the road, but I can't put my money on them right now, my guy.
I'm going to tell you something, too, that you just said. I'm glad you brought up Norman Powell, because Norman Powell was the player that, it took him a little bit of time to get going with the Raptors, but just from, having to watch him play for such a long time, he's a player who he's very confident in his own ability, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like, he has the type of confidence, that you have to be successful as a professional player, right? Especially in this league, the NBA, which is more of a, like, for example, the NFL is like the ultimate team sport, right? Like, you could be the best quarterback in the league, but if your offensive line trash, what are you really doing? You're kind of running for your life most of the time, right? So, whereas in the NBA, it's a star-driven league. I really respect that. I respect that he believes in his ability, and it's given Portland's offense a different dimension in the sense that what other player for the last 10 years do you ever see, like, when he gets the ball, he's like, I don't need to look at CJ or Dame. I could just get my own. Like, I don't need a play to be run for me. I could just get mine. I think that's raised the level of this Portland team, has made them way more reliable offensively. Obviously, they're not reliable to me because, I mean, they're 10-10, so that tells you everything you need to know. But they have the 4th ranked offense in the league. The problem is the Jazz have the best offense. They're number 1 ranked offense in the league. So even the one strength that Portland has, the Jazz can match that, and they're not even in the same conversation when it comes to defense. Portland's like one of the worst defensive teams in the whole league. So I still don't like the spread, so I'm staying away from it. But the Norm Powell thing kind of makes the spread make a little bit more sense because he's worth at least like a half point to Portland, at least on the spread. Anyways, I've got nothing on this game. Neither does my guy Jay. Let's get y'all to this last game before we go over our picks. Now, I actually have something on this game. I got the Wizards -3. The Wizards have come back down to earth a little bit, but that just tells you how good they've actually been because they're still leading. I mean, they have the same record as the Miami Heat. You know what I'm saying? And I like the fact that I could watch their games. I said this the other day, Jay, and I think you agreed with me, or at least I'm gonna, in my mind, say you agree with me. But you watch their game now, and it was a game that they came back in the 4th quarter after being down, and Bradley Beal didn't have a basket in the 4th quarter, and I was like, okay. Now, I could buy into this because if I'm Bradley Beal now, I go to war thinking to myself, you know what? If I have an off day, these guys could still kind of carry the load. And they did that again against Dallas. That game, Dallas was what? I know that the Wizards were dogs in that game. I just don't remember what the spread was.
6.5.
Yeah, their guys just came to – Kuzma came to play. Dinwiddie looked good. Thomas Bryant's coming back soon, and he gives him another presence out there. He's one of those guys that in my day they used to call him garbage men, the guys that just get baskets around the rim. They're there to finish lobs, kind of like what Tyson Chandler was as an offensive player, a rim runner, a guy that gets offensive rebounds and gets putbacks, gets backdoors and gets dunks. But that's a role, bro. That's actually almost like a forgotten art in today's NBA. There's not as many of those guys as there were like 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And I think that Bryant coming back to this lineup adds a whole other dimension. But as for this game, I'm laying the points with the Wizards because there's this weird thing about the Spurs where when they go back on their home court, their defensive effort is way, way worse. They're a much worse defensive team. They're actually one of the worst home defensive teams in the league, even though overall they're actually not bad. And when I looked into it further, it's because they're really good defensively on the road. Not really sure why they don't bring the defensive intensity at home. They seem to be a little bit too laid back. But I'm going to tell you that, Jay, I'm not fooled by that win against the Celtics. The Celtics couldn't possibly have shot worse. The Celtics literally could not make a goddamn shot in that game. They scored 14 points in the first quarter, which set the tone for the whole game. Before that, the Spurs were getting their ass bust by everybody. Everybody was getting in on the Spurs. So I'm not convinced that long-ass losing streak, was it like a 6-game losing streak, or where they lost 7 of 8, they lost like 8 of 10. They've not been good, Jay. And I think that the Wizards have shown us enough after 20 games to say, yeah, maybe they're not going to finish as one of the top 4 seeds in the East, but they're definitely a playoff team, something that the Spurs are absolutely not. So I'm just taking points right at my threshold, which is -3, 1 possession on the road against a team that's super poor defensively at home. And the Wizards seem to defend now all of a sudden. What you got?
Yeah, that's the only way I look here. It's a tough game. I mean, hey, that was a lot, man. You never talked me into it, man. But the Spurs, like you say, they're so up and down. I do have a problem with this. Some I've noticed, like in the NBA, especially, it's a quirky year, man. It's a crazy type of year, if you ask me, man. Because I've never seen so much up and down shit. But I'm starting to figure it out, right? So adapt and adjust. When the team's been at the house for a while, they kind of sort of get on a little streak, right? And so they cover versus the Suns. They played a real good game versus the Suns. Got smacked up versus the Hawks, where the Hawks were just on one. And then they beat the Celtics, you know what I'm saying? Which the Celtics were just, the Spurs had the defense. They could keep up with that one. I'm still not sold on the Wizards as far as full season. I do think that this is a bit of an anomaly, a bit of an outlier how they're playing so far. They are the better team tonight. I could only look towards the Wizards here, but the Spurs, they kind of play some sticky defense sometimes. Obviously, other than Murray, White, and Lonnie Walker and Keldon Johnson, not a ton of guys on that team. They got Jakob Poeltl back. I guess what I'm saying is they've been at the house for 3 straight games and they're kind of comfortable. When the teams get when they've been at the house for a while, shooting on the same goals or whatever, they kind of sort of get hot. Their shooting is, I mean, just think about it, right, Junior? Basketball psychology. If you're playing in that same gym, your shots are falling, right? You're getting used to shooting on those same goals, which where obviously you're on the road. The environments are switching every single game. You're in a new arena. That's the main reason why the Hornets travel. That's why their first quarter numbers look so bad. When on the road, they're a jump shooting team. On the road, they just can't seem to find their shots until the second half. If you look at the Hornets game, I'm telling you, you'll see it. So trust me, here I can only bet the Wizards. It's the last game of their 4-game road trip, and it's the last game of the Spurs homestand. So the Spurs really want to get a win here. It's just a funky game for me, bro. I've lost so much money betting on or against the Wizards this year. Is crazy, but I did cash with them versus the Mavs. I'm saying a lot for a guy that doesn't have an official play on this game. It's a pass for me. I hope you cash, Junior.
Hey, listen, we've got minutes to spare, which is pretty rare for us. We're usually racing against the clock, so you can take as long as you want. And I'm glad to get your input. Like I said, like half the reason I do this show is to hear what you guys got to say, because no matter what, as cappers, we're just biased in certain ways, and we're gonna make the numbers meet a narrative that we want sometimes. Like, for example, you know what I'm saying?
I do that same shit. Yeah.
It's kind of hard. The only way that I could avoid doing that is, like, I watch a bunch of shows of people whose opinions it's not that I don't respect their opinion, but I wouldn't take betting advice from them. But I just want to hear what they have to say. Just the more information you could get, the better off you are. So It's one of the reasons I love doing the show with you because, you know what I'm saying, you look at things in a way that I don't necessarily look at it all the time. So I hope you all appreciate that too. And it's one of the reasons why we always want y'all guys in the chat to be engaged. I read the chat. I know I don't talk as much smack as I used to in the chat, but like I literally read the chat to hear what you guys think. Like, are we crazy? What do you guys think? You guys are investing money too. Y'all are gonna have opinions that are gonna be useful to us. Like, if you think you know everything, you obviously know nothing. So with that being said, let's go over our picks and get y'all out of here so y'all can make some money. I got 3 picks today. The Bulls, like I said, have been one of the best first quarter teams in the league. I think they come out early. They've been bad lately because they've been bad in the first quarter. I think those things are correlated. I think they come out with a better effort. And Vooch just look like he's kind of figuring it out now a little bit since he came back. I know it's a small sample size because he just came back, but he looked kind of good when I watched their last game. So I got the Wolves first half. They've been a much better first half team. They've been clamping teams. They actually have the best defensive record during this little 5-game stretch at home. And the Wizards, I just think they're a much better team. And the Spurs' defensive metrics at home are really, really bad. And their offense is not good. That Celtics game, not only did the Celtics shoot like 37%, DeJounte Murray kind of had to go off for the Spurs to win. Yeah, I'm not convinced. What you got first, Jay?
Yeah, Pacers for me, man. I'll be not to go head to head with my guy Junior here, but the Pacers are on a back-to-back, so I need them to come out hot early. To be honest with you, I may take the Pacers first quarter, first half as well. It's crazy because the full games I've actually been doing pretty well with the first quarter, first halves, and then they'll just melt late, and it happens. The Pacers are on the back-to-back, but I do like them to win this game. I think they'll be winning from start to finish in this one. So I like the Pacers, and I do like the Bulls as well. I like the Bulls first quarter and first half in their game. I think they'll get it started off early. This is the second game back home off the road trip, coming off a home loss as well. I think they'll get hot to start early here. Much better defensive team. I think they clamp down on Rozier and that soft ass LaMelo Ball shit. I think Lonzo gonna have something to say here. So like the Bulls early, like the Pacers early, and Pacers full game +3, my guys.
Yeah, I really hope that Lonzo actually guards LaMelo because if there's one person that knows how to guard him, you'd have to think it'd be the dude that he probably had the most one-on-one battles in his life with. So yeah, that should be an interesting dynamic. Some pretty interesting games to watch. I mean, I think I'm actually gonna, take it easy tonight. I don't really watch games live. I like to watch them on League Pass live. So I mean, League Pass, so I can watch. You know how they have the games in like 35 minutes. I'm watching 5-6 games in a row. But tonight might be one of those where I watch them live because the atmosphere is different. And some of these games are pretty good. The NBA is nice right now. There's not a lot of crying. There's not a lot of soap opera nonsense. Even the Ben Simmons thing is kind of taking a back seat. It's just all about what's going on the court. And there's a lot of good young players. So it's a good time to be basketball better. Jay is right, though. It's been a bit quirky to start the season. But I think now that we're getting to the close to the 25-game mark, things are going to settle in between here and the All-Star game, and we're going to be cashing some tickets. I know we are going to be on this show, so make sure you tune in again to my guy. Please make sure you follow J Money on Twitter because he does live shows all the time, giving you guys free picks out here. Free. You don't got to give it to you. He don't got to do that. He does that because he loves the game. I love the game too. I'm hoping to join you, Jay, on some of those lives a little bit more often. I know I've been a bit unreliable because I'm all over the place, but I'm going to jump on a couple of those with you. Thanks for riding with us. Our guy Jordan should be back. Please check out BMR's website for all the picks, articles, all the other cappers, whatever the sport. Got you covered. See y'all tomorrow, same time, same place.